hopefully is going to provide a little bit more of a framework for you to be able to enjoy the tasting upstairs. If you've been to Portugal, how many of you have been to Portugal? Wow! Que beleza! This is wonderful. A lot of you have been to Portugal. Hopefully this will be sort of an affirmation or a validation of things that you've seen, places that you've been to, wines that you've had, perhaps people that you've met. For those of you who haven't been going to Portugal, perhaps this is the motivation between this and the seminar upstairs to get you hopping to the other part of Iberia that people talk less about, but should talk more about, in Portugal. And for those of you who were just sort of here, how many of you thought you were going to like a Schwab seminar for like how to improve the, your 529s for your kids? A couple of you wandered in here by accident. There you go. Okay. Well, hopefully there'll be something for you as well too. But today's really discussion is going to be really about what's going on in modern Portugal. For those of you who've been there, haven't been there in a while, it is moving fast and furiously. We're going to talk about contemporary approaches towards some very classic and historically legacy grapes in that part of the world, and discuss some exciting wines. So all of this is made possible by drinkers like you. That's my little NPR joke, never mind. All right. But it's actually been made possible by Vinny Portugal, the sponsors of today's program, the sponsors of the tasting. And Vinny Portugal is actually a private association which is dedicated to the promotion of Portuguese wines. That's full and semi-obvious. But what's interesting about them is, unlike some of these other organizations that are out there that are, basically, shields for governmental dollars and money laundering and all sorts of stuff like that. This is actually an organization which is dominated by producers, grape growers, co-ops, farmers, and a few of those notorious governmental representatives. So there are a few in here, but the lion's share of the people are actually of the earth, of the wineries and all of that, and they really do drive the reality of the world. Muito obrigado, or many thanks to the folks who make it happen. Miguel Nora, who is floating around upstairs. If you see Miguel, Miguel is the newly appointed representative for Vinny Portugal to the United States. He was most recently in Asia for the last couple of years. So if you run into him, say hi, tell him how happy you are to have him here in California, and although they miss him in Hong Kong, we're happy to have him here. Maria Simões is his right-hand person. She is in Portugal, and she's the one that gets all the wines moving to the right places and all that other good stuff. And there are other members of the organization back in Lisbon who we thank as well. Now, what do you have before we get started? What you have in front of you is 8 glasses of wine. This will be, as you'll notice, as I explain to you in a minute, a semi-blind tasting, in the sense that there's a little key at the end that we'll go through, but we're going to actually do a little bit of tasting a little bit later, which I will walk you through, which is blind instrument flying. You'll be able to taste the wines without necessarily figuring out exactly which wine is which, so you can be objective. Now, paperwork. You always have paperwork. In front of you, the top sheet that you have is your grid. When you start tasting wines 1 through 4 on one side, and then 5 through 8 on the other side, you're going to want to use this sheet. There's a seat right up here for you, ma'am, with your name on it. There you go. And there's one over here on the side. If there's no, there isn't. I'm seeing illusions. Just one up here. Okay. 1 through 4, 5 through 8. So when you get to that point, when we start tasting, that's where you want to write. Number